Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And today's going to be an interesting one for me because I've been seeing something that I know I've talked about before. In fact, I've probably been talking about for the entire lifetime of these Caffeine for the Soul podcasts. But I'm seeing it so fresh that I wanted to have another go. And in order to understand the title, Understanding Signal Strength, I just, want to share sort of a metaphor that I share in my book, The Space Within. And I talk about how, in many ways, we can liken the different ways we show up in life to whether or not we're online or offline. So I used to ask people if this isn't really so much a thing anymore, but when not everything was completely hooked up to the internet, I'd say if I could give you a laptop that had unlimited storage, like 30 gigabytes of storage. I know that's not a real thing, but I've got a friend who calls them gigabytes, and I like the sound of it. So it is unlimited gigabytes of storage, but it wasn't able to go online. Or what they, for a while, like a netbook where it doesn't have any storage, or it has very minimal storage, but it has 24/7 Wi-Fi access anywhere you go in the world. Which one would you want? And most people, even 10, 15 years ago, would go, well, it'd be amazing to have the one with the online access, because they realize that if I can just get online and look things up whenever I want, which is kind of how it works now, I don't really need all this data storage anymore. Well, within that metaphor, then what becomes a very salient point is, well, how do you know if you're online or not as a human? Like, it's obvious when you've got a phone or some other device, you can look at the signal strength, and you have 5 bars or 4 bars or 3 bars or 2 bars or 1 bar or no signal. Or, with Wi-Fi, it's more the sort of little curly thing. But let's go with the 5 bars metaphor. Well, when we have 5 bars, that's us on full mojo. That's us just firing on all cylinders. It's us at our absolute best. Now, 4 bars, we probably don't even notice the difference between 4 bars and 5 bars. 3 bars, we may start to have a couple of signal issues. 2 bars, things might cut in and out. 1 bar, and there's a lot of functionality we start losing. And our signal just isn't reliable enough to do things that require a lot of bandwidth. Like, you wouldn't want to play a Call of Duty online if you had 1 bar of signal strength, because it would be constantly lagging and your character would keep getting blown up. That would be my excuse, actually. That even happens for me when I have 5 bars, but that's just because I'm not very good at Call of Duty. And of course, if you have no signal, then you're just pressing buttons. And it's like, I don't know, my phone keeps telling me stuff, but it doesn't make any sense. Well, the way that we can kind of evaluate our signal strength as humans is by how we feel. And it's not our mood. You can be in a really low mood, and have really strong signal strength. And you'll know because you're there. Signal strength is much more about presence than mood. When you're fully there, you can have any kind of inner weather, and it's not a problem. And when you're not there, any glitch in the weather, any kind of mood at all, will just overwhelm you and completely take you out of whatever game you're trying to play. So here's the new bit for me. Here's the bit where I've just never seen it as clearly as I'm seeing it right now. I was playing golf over the weekend, and I found myself getting pretty frustrated because I had a new club and I was excited about taking out the club, and it wasn't working right. I didn't take it back to the store, but I was struggling to hit it clean. And I started to think, I need to go back. I need to take a lesson with this club. I need to do all these things. And then it suddenly was really obvious to me that what that feeling of frustration was telling me was not that I needed to work on my golf game. It was that my signal strength was faded. I was getting disconnected from myself. I was getting disconnected from that deeper intelligence that we're all tuned into when we're at our best. And so the solution to my frustration wasn't get better at golf. The frustration wasn't telling me about golf at all. It was telling me, hey, you're like, your signal strength's fading. And if you want to get back online, you'll know what to do about your golf game, if indeed there's anything to do about your golf game. And as soon as I saw that, just seeing it, I jumped up a couple of bars. And as I got more present and less in my head, it was kind of obvious to me, a couple of little adjustments in the way that I was holding this club and using this club, and I started hitting it really cleanly. And then after the game was over, I started realizing, oh God, this is true everywhere. If I'm feeling scared or insecure about money, it's not telling me I need to go make more money. It's telling me I'm offline, or I'm low signal strength. So I'm not really connected to my wisdom. I'm not really connected to my mojo. I'm not really connected to that bit of me that takes life's challenges in strides and sometimes even looks forward to them to see what I can do with them, to see what's going to occur to me this time to move me forward. And so instead of trying to get rid of the feeling actually is just, that's what it feels like when I'm losing signal strength. And I want you to just play with this simple notion this week. What if all those uncomfortable feelings, the frustration and the disappointment and the discouragement, not the ones that pop into your head for 30 minutes and then are gone, not the ones that just kind of pass by and go, oh, I wish that had worked better, and then you're on to the next thing, but the ones that feel like, this is my life now, I am going to feel like this forever. What if they're not telling you anything about your life? What if they're just like, on most computers, you can, most interconnections, you'll see, like if you're on Zoom or one of those programs, when it's green or white, you're full go. When it's yellow, it's letting you know, ooh, okay, dodgy signal, this might cut in and out. And when it's red, it's telling you, yeah, you might kind of fall offline at any moment. You might start freezing, and things aren't going to flow the way they do when you've got full signal. And instead of trying to do something about whatever you happen to be thinking about when you're feeling frustrated or scared or overwhelmed, just let that feeling wake you up a bit to your own signal strength. Hear it almost like a voice inside your head going, shh, shh, shh. You'll be smarter again in a minute. And as you come back online, know that your internet connection, your connection to the universal mind, to universal wisdom, to the highest and best intelligence of life itself, is going to be working for you again in a minute. And before you know it, you'll be back in the flow, and you'll not just feel like you're thriving, but you really will be thriving, not just in one area of your life, but across the board. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.